garden, and I believe that he's going to thrive under those bright lights, feed off that energy, and we're going to be talking about him come after game 3.
Yeah, by the way, Towns coming off his second career playoff game with 20 points and 15 rebounds. Cannot wait. And if you want more Perk, you're going to get it. Next block, he joins the NBA Countdown crew back here on.
Been in Boston. What was it like for you personally to be in Boston, witnessing what was happening to the reigning defending NBA champions at the hands of the New York Knicks in games 1 and 2, specifically the fourth quarter and an overtime in games 1 and 2?
When you're the better team, and let's just be honest, the Celtics are the better team by measure of the regular season, at least. You usually play with the swagger. And when you're at home, you usually play with the swagger. And when you're the defending champions, you usually play with the swagger. And certainly the Celtics, I've seen them do it. In game 2, when the game started, when the Knicks started tightening up the score, the entire building went tight. It's not something I've experienced before. And Jalen Brunson was absolutely, he comes into the game with like 9 minutes to go, and he starts going to work. 3-pointer, drive, step back, layup. At like 4 minutes and 45 seconds, I don't remember who hit the shot. It might have been Bridges. And all of a sudden it's 5 points where everything goes red. It's 5 points inside 5 minutes is clutch time. And I said out loud, these SOBs did it. They got it to crunch time. They got it to clutch time. Because that was the thing. It was like, they're down 20. They're actually down 16. In game 1, they were only down 9 starting the fourth quarter. Anybody can come back from 9 down. You don't have to be special. They started the fourth quarter in game 2 down 12 in the fourth quarter. So they had done a good job. It was 20. They cut it. And then it went to 16. It was actually 16. It was 3 possessions greater to overcome. And so when they even got it to crunch time, I was like, damn, they did it again. And then they just walked him down. And the building was tight. And it's just not something you expect with a team with the resume of the Celtics.
Is game 1 and 2 in your eyes more about what the Knicks are in terms of their clutch, knowing that a guy like Jalen Brunson in clutch time has outscored the entire Celtics team by 14-12? Or is it about a diminished product that we're seeing in the reigning defending NBA champions, that is the Boston Celtics? I know what Tatum brings. I know what Brown brings. They're both $300 million plus players. You got new ownership in Boston. They're going to have to make decisions about the future. You've articulated all of those things very clearly over the last few days or so. But are we seeing a diminished Boston Celtics, or just a team suffering a hiccup that's expected to get it together this weekend?
Very savvy question. I think the answer is both. I think you see a Knicks team that is extremely confident when they get into the end of a close game. Jalen Brunson, he is so calm when he's under pressure. It's crazy. Like, he gets into tough situations when he's got a live dribble, and you're like, how's he getting out of this one? And he does. They put a 6'9" guy on him, and you're like, how's he getting out of this one? He gets open. He is at the top of his game, at the top of his confidence level, and it's a master at work. So that's absolutely happening. But also the Celtics are diminished. One, I think their confidence is shaken. I think you see it in some of the decisions that Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown make at the end of these games. And 2, they don't have Porzingis. Porzingis isn't right. And that's probably the most unpredictable thing in this series. What's going to happen with Porzingis? Because Porzingis, I wouldn't say he was their curveball, because he can hit you with the right hook. I would say he was like their slider. And especially if you were having difficulty, scoring from the perimeter, he's a deadly outside shooter, but you can throw it to him in the post, and he's 7'3". He can turn around and cause problems.
Let me stop you right there with Porzingis, because I heard you on the air talking the other day. You were on air with me. You were on air with Get Up on ESPN, talking about how You spoke to Porzingis. He doesn't know what's going on, but he's just flatline. Fatigue has kicked in. And I'm just looking at numbers here. In 2 regular season games against the Knicks this season, he's averaged 24.5 points on 50% shooting from the field, 45% shooting from three-point range. In his playoff series against the Knicks, he's got a total of 8 points on 3 of 9 shooting, 1 for 1 on a three-pointer, 1 free throw attempt, no blocks, 8 rebounds in 27 minutes total. He clearly has been a virtual no-show because he just hasn't been on the court for the Boston Celtics. Do we know specifically what is wrong with Porzingis?
We don't. He got sick in February. He tried to fight through it for a while. Then they ended up shutting him down, and they started, calling him questionable. And all of a sudden, he's out 3 weeks, 8 games he missed. And when he came back, he said they couldn't diagnose it, and he was having a real hard time with fatigue. I think initially they said it was like a upper respiratory, and so you're seeing a guy who's coughing, runny nose, etc. He doesn't come off sick. He may have wind issues. There may be a lung thing for sure. I'm not saying that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't look like a guy who's got the flu. But what he's having a big problem with, from what he says, is fatigue. He crashes. And I think he had been in it. By the way, when he came back from that time away, his first 5 games, he was really good. Like, it looked like, okay, he's past it. Mm-hmm. You're talking about stats in this series. He was terrible against Orlando. Terrible is not a fair word. He was not productive against Orlando. Certainly not to his normal level. And in game 1, he was fighting it. It really came back in game 1 of this series. And the halftime, he didn't have energy. And so they brought him off the bench in game 2, Stephen A. And the reason they brought him off the bench is because I think they're trying to save his energy. So what I think they're hoping is he gets 2 days to rest before game 3 and he can recover. But he referred to it as a big crash, that he was managing it. And then all of a sudden in game 1, big crash. That's obviously concerning.
I need 2 quick answers to these 2 questions. If the Boston Celtics lose this series, what will it mean for this franchise?
I don't know, because I don't know what the new owner's appetite for spending is. I know that this is a team that has proven to be a championship team. If you own the guys who bought the Boston Celtics have owned it since 2001, 2002. They paid a couple $100 million for it. If it's not paid off, I'm sure it probably is very close to paid off. At the end of the day, they're not paying a massive mortgage on the team. So if you have to pay $500 million and you lose a couple $100 million, that's one thing. You're dealing with a couple $100 million loss. Now, if you're buying the team for $6 billion, they're actually buying 50% of the team for about $3 billion. You have to write a $3 billion check. However, you're getting that money. This is not Steve Ballmer buying the team. Steve Ballmer, when he bought the Clippers, literally said, "Here is a cashier's check for $2 billion." He didn't borrow money. He's like, "Here you go." That's not the case here. These guys are leveraging to get this, which is not. $6 billion is a ton of money. So now you're going to have a mortgage payment. So imagine you're in a house, and you own the house outright, no mortgage payment. Now you've bought the house. You bought a new house that's 30 times the price. You got a big mortgage payment due every month. Now, if I tell you that the house costs